Let me be precise about which feeling this is because it gets confused with a different one. This is not that you're exhausted. Your hours are survivable. Nobody is taking your evenings. You are not, in the ordinary sense, overworked. And if you were, that's a different problem with a different fix. And it isn't this one. This is that you've gone flat. The work is fine. You're good at it, actually. And somewhere in the last several months, the thing that used to make you sit forward stopped happening. You do the tasks. They get done to a decent standard. And you notice on a Thursday that you cannot remember the last time you cared how any of it turned out. The strange part is that there's nothing to complain about, which is why you haven't said it to anyone. It isn't misery. It's more like watching yourself through slightly frosted glass, doing an adequate job. Here's what almost everyone does with it, and why all three are versions of the same mistake. Then I'll read you part of a letter a Roman wrote to his friend about this exact condition because he could not name it and wanted help. 3 doors. The first is the change. New job, new city, new company. And the pull of this is enormous because it's the only one that promises the feeling back. Sometimes it's even right. But watch for the tell. If you cannot say what specifically was wrong, only that it went gray, then you are not choosing a destination. You are running a maneuver, and the maneuver travels. 6 months into the new one, it's Thursday again. The second door is discipline. You decide the flatness is a character problem, so you attack it. Earlier alarm, cold shower, better system, a schedule with colors. And you'll get about 11 days out of that, which is enough to make you think it was working. And then it stops, and you now have flatness, plus evidence that you're weak. Nothing has been diagnosed. You've just shouted at the symptom. The third door is the one that catches capable people because it's disguised as maturity. You decide this is simply what work is. Everyone's a bit numb. That's adulthood. Only children expect to be interested. And that sounds so reasonable that it can run for a decade. But notice what it costs. You have accepted a permanent condition on the basis of a few months' evidence, and you've closed the question. People don't recover from this one because they've stopped treating it as a question. Here's the thread. All three treat the flatness as a verdict on the job, on your character, or on adult life. None of them treats it as information. Around 2,000 years ago, a man called Serenus wrote to Seneca, and the reason we still have the letter is that he was trying to describe something he had no word for. He tells Seneca he is not ill. He is also not well. He is in a state he can only get at by circling it. He is not in danger, but he isn't safe either. He doesn't have a disease. He has a kind of persistent queasiness. He says the frustrating thing is that there is no storm. He is being tossed about in no wind at all. And then he says the line that I think is the most modern sentence in ancient philosophy. He says, what I most want is to stop asking myself how I am. Seneca answers him, and the first thing he does is the thing Serenus needed, which is to give it a name. He tells him this is a real and common condition, that it has a shape, and that it is not a mystery of Serenus's individual soul. He compares it to seasickness, the queasiness of a man who is going nowhere while everything moves. And then Seneca describes the standard response to it, which has not changed in 20 centuries. People in this state, he says, change house. They travel, they take a trip and then another one, and each new place holds for a little while and then goes flat. And so they conclude that they need a further place. He is unsparing about what's actually happening. The man is not seeking a destination. He is fleeing himself, and he is very bad at it because he brings himself. The diagnosis underneath all of it is specific, and it is not what you'd expect. Seneca's account is that this condition comes from a life that is busy but not directed. Motion without a thing being served. Not too much work. Work that isn't pointed at anything the person has actually chosen. Now the moves. 3 of them. Move 1, separate flat from tired on paper this week. They have completely different fixes, and they feel similar from the inside, which is why people spend years applying the wrong one. Ask 2 questions. Would a genuinely restful fortnight fix this? And is there any part of this job that still gets my attention, even slightly? If a fortnight would fix it, you're tired. Go and look at your hours. That's a different episode and a different rule. But if you can take 2 proper weeks off, come back rested, and the grayness is waiting for you at the same desk. It was never fatigue. Stop treating it as fatigue. That single distinction saves people about 2 years. Move 2. Find the last thing you cared about and be specific about it. Not the old job was better. That's the fog again. Go and find one concrete instance. A week, a project, a problem where you looked up and time had gone. Then interrogate it properly. Was it that you were learning something? That you could see the effect of the work on a person? That you had control over how it was done? That someone competent was watching? There are usually only 3 or 4 candidates, and one of them will be obviously it. That's your ground condition, and you have been without it for months without ever naming it, which is exactly why nothing you tried worked, because you were prescribing blind. Move 3. Change the ground at the smallest scale that's real. This is where Seneca's traveler goes wrong. He changes everything except the condition, because changing everything is easier than identifying one thing. So do the opposite. If the missing element was learning, take one piece of work you don't know how to do. This month, not next year. If it was seeing the effect, go and talk to one person who uses what you make. If it was control, take one small thing and own it end to end, rather than doing your section of it. You are running an experiment on the actual variable, and you'll know inside about 6 weeks, which is a lot faster than the 18 months it takes to find out that a new company has the same Thursday in it. Because here's what Serenus needed and what nobody tells you. The flatness is not a verdict, and it is not a defect. It's a reading. It says a specific thing is missing, and it will keep saying it at exactly the same volume in every new city you take it to, until you find out what. Marcus put the whole thing in one line, to himself, on a morning he didn't want to get up. I am rising to the work of a human being, not the job. The work, the thing the job is supposed to be in service of. When those two come apart, this is the feeling that tells you. So here's the rule. Write it down. Don't chase the feeling. Change the ground. This week, 3 things. 1. Answer the 2 questions honestly. Would rest fix this, and does anything here still get your attention? 2. Name one specific stretch when you last cared and work out what was present then. That isn't now. 3. Change that one variable at the smallest real scale this month and give it 6 weeks. You will not be able to talk yourself back into wanting it. Serenus tried and had to write to somebody for help. What you always control is whether you go looking for the missing condition or keep changing the scenery. Master that, and the gray stops being who you've become and goes back to being something you can act on. If this helped, like it and subscribe. There's a new one every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And do one more thing. Send this to the person who keeps saying they're fine, just a bit tired. You know exactly who they are. They'll tell you it's nothing and they'll read the last part twice. The journal's in the description if you want the weekly version. And watch this one next. You got what you wanted. Nothing changed.